Hi. welcome back. I haven't been here in a bit, but that's okay because no one's really watching these, so they're for me mostly. And mental health is fucking hard, and I haven't wanted to do one of these, but I have books I need to return to the library, and I don't want to have them anymore. So here we are. Hi, I'm Sarah. What an entrance if you've never met me. Hi, I'm Sarah. So nice to meet you. Great, so we're powering through. It's finally warm in New York. Thank Jesus. So the window's open. So like if you hear anything from the outside and you can't hear me, what a bummer. But also like that's not really my problem. So sorry about it. God, my posture's gonna be awful this video. And if I get a little sweat mark under my boobs, no I didn't and no one saw anything. So great. First book I want to talk about is Trust. I was thinking when I was gonna do this video, I was like, I don't really have anything to talk about. Like not about this book, but like I haven't been reading as much, and I was like, there's not really that much to talk about, but I have been like in a fugue state of reading just like romantasy books kind of, but I don't always want to talk about those on these videos because I really kind of started this so I would get into reading like really good literary fiction and like not as much romantasy, which are like great books and I love them, but if I read too many of them it kind of like fucks with my brain a little bit. The same way like if all I watch is reality TV, it melts my brain. But I love reality TV. I was literally just watching some. And so it's really easy to watch, and romantasy is really easy to read. So I need to sometimes like force myself to read other things. And so I don't always want to talk about the romantasy I've been reading because like that's not what I wanted to do. But I did read a lot of it recently, and so like I do want to talk about what I read. But this is one that is not romantasy. It's one my father for Christmas every year buys me and my siblings and their partners books, and then he reads them, and then he writes like a little note for us in the front of it. This is one, it's called Trust by Hernan Diaz. And this is one he gave my brother's girlfriend. And he was like, I really like this one. You should also check it out. And I was like, oh, fucking deal. I did really like it. I thought the format of it was like really interesting and cool, which I did like. There's also a twist at the end, which I was surprised by, which I was like, oh shit, I should have seen that coming and I didn't, which is always a fun twist of like, in my opinion, the best twists are the ones that feel like they've been staring at you in the face the whole time. And then when you get to it, you're like, oh my God, I'm an idiot for not seeing this. It's been looking at me versus like a twist where you're like, what? I didn't see that coming at all, which are like still fun, but like I like one that feels very obvious, but still you miss it somehow. So I really liked this book. Something I struggled with a little bit was like it switches. Oh my God, sweat. It switches like. So the first part of the book, it's written in like 3 different parts. The first part of the book is a fictional. It's about a fictional couple in New York. They're like very well off and well to do, and then in the second part is about is like a real, like is a non-fictional. It's still fictional, but is a non-fictional like telling from the from like it's an autobiography of one of the man who the fictional book in the beginning was based on. So it's his biography being like, well, this non-fiction or this fiction book was written based on me, that's clearly about me. Here's actually what was up. Here's really what happened. And then the last part of the book is written from the woman who wrote that biography for him. And which is super interesting. Here's what I really liked. I really liked the differences in perspective of everything. And also I liked that like specifically the biography in the middle is written in a way that is like, for me, was the least interesting part of the book. And then in the third part, when you find out about the process of writing the biography, all these other things, you realize why that is on purpose and what happened. And I thought that was super cool, and I really, really liked that. But I was most interested in the couple, the main couple, the main couple that the beginning is based on. And so then like in the second part is not as much about that. It's about the main guy. And then the third part is obviously about the main guy and the woman and his wife, but also it's about the biographer who's writing it, which is great. And I did really enjoy the parts of her life that she brought to the biography. I thought that was really well done and really interesting, but also like I didn't care as much about her. And so there were moments, which is like maybe wrong of me, I'm whatever, but like there were moments during that part where I was like, I don't care about this. Like, you know, in Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, where it's a woman who's a writer interviewing Evelyn Hugo, and there are moments where it's the woman writer who's like, it's from her perspective, she's talking about her own life, and I'm like, I don't give a shit about that. I want to hear about Evelyn Hugo. That's a little bit how I felt. But I did really like it. I would recommend this book. Ugh, so hot of me. I would recommend this book. I thought it was really good. I thought it was really well written, and I thought that it did a really good job of like changing voices. It did feel like 3 different people wrote this book. I'll say that. Like, because it's in 3 different parts, it did feel like this was written by 3 completely different people, which like, no, it's not. So I really like that. I thought it was really good. And yeah, I would recommend it. And yeah. The next book that I have not read is Shuggie Bain. I'm returning this to the library today just because I'm just not in a place to like really dive into something like this right now. So I'm returning it. I'm putting it back on my hold list, and I'll read it when I'm in a better place. But like, I'm not doing super well mental health wise right now, which is fine, and lots of people are struggling, and I'm one of them. And like, when that happens, I don't want a book that I'm gonna have to like struggle through, which maybe I won't with this, but like I just not in the mood for it right now, and that's completely fine. So I'm gonna return this to the library so someone else can happily read it, and then I will read it. I'll try it again later, which will be great. So other books I've read, they're all on my Kindle. So I'm gonna show you my iPad because we're high tech here. So the first one is called One Dark Window by Rachel Gillick, and then I read the second book in that series as well, which is Two Twisted Crowns. Oh God, how do I feel about these? I did forget that I read them until just now when I was like, what should I talk about? And I was like looking through, and I was honestly like going back to the part in the book so you could like see this part. And I was like, oh yeah, I read those too. I should talk about them. I did like them. I did really like them. They weren't exactly what I was in the mood for when I was like, I just want to read some like fun romantics, like not romantic stuff, but like some fun fantasy. I think I was looking for a little bit more romance, which like this definitely has romance. And I did like the romance, and I did like the romance. But that's not why you read these books. To tell you what these books are about, it's a fantasy magic world where there are, God, how do I explain this? Okay, there are, once upon a time, it's very fairy tale, which I'm fucking down with. I love a good fairy tale. Once upon a time, there was like a magic woman who lived in the woods. She has a name, I forget it. But she would like grant people their requests, their wishes, when they would like come to the woods and ask her for things. But it was sometimes like a little bit of a monkey paw situation where it like wouldn't work out right or whatever. So this king goes to her and he gets her slowly to make him 12 cards, like magic cards, and they all do different things. I don't know exactly how many cards there are, but there are, I believe, 12 types of cards. I'm so sorry if I'm getting the number wrong, but like there are, and he had to give something up for all of them. So like there's one card and it is called the Maiden card, and it makes you very beautiful, and he had to like give her his hair for the card. And so like the cards, the things that he gave for them got magic back, and whoever is holding the card can tap it 3 times and then use the magic, and then tap it 3 times and stop the magic. And if you lose the card, whoever gets it can then use the magic. And they also all kind of, they come with a flip side. So like there's one card that pretty much, I'm not exactly sure how it works, but you all like drink something and then you have a card, it's called the Chalice card. You tap it 3 times and then everybody has to tell the truth. And if you don't tell the truth enough, it's poison. And like there's another card, the card, the Maiden, the one that makes you beautiful. If you use it too much, your heart like hardens and you get cold and you can't feel anything. And so the book is about, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I forgot, very important thing. When that happened, the woman who lives in the wood, the magic woman, she then created this thing called the mist, and there's mist everywhere, and it either like infects people with like magic in them, or it drives people insane. Like it forces them into the woods and it drives them crazy. And so if you're infected, you then kind of, the king has like made it so if you're infected, because it mostly happens to children, if you're infected, then like your family has to turn you over to be killed pretty much, because you then kind of become magical, and the king wants to control everything. And so he's like, I can't fucking have magic that I don't control. So our main girlie has been infected as a child and then is hidden by her aunt and uncle. Technically, she's hidden by her father. She goes and lives with her aunt and uncle. And then also when the kids become magical, I'm doing a terrible job of, this book is good. When the kids become magical, there's usually some sort of like, because they have magic, their body can't deal with it, like can't take everything, so they also like degenerate in some way. So like some of them get really sick and they die. So like there's a person in the book who like when they touch you, they're kind of like a seer. They can like see all of your deepest secrets, and they say like kind of prophecy things, but it's like killing this person to do that. Like physically it's killing them, and they're also losing their mind. And so our main girlie as a child is magic. She's taken to her aunt and uncle's house, and she finds her uncle's card, and it's called the Nightmare card. And what you do is you tap it 3 times, and then you can like talk to mind, talk to other people, and also like they're in your mind. And to the guy who got all the cards, to get that card, he gave up his soul, is what he says. He gave the devil his soul, but it's the woman. And so she touches the card, and she didn't think she had any magic, but her magic is that when she touches cards, she gets the punishment that the guy gave. So she touches the Nightmare card, she gets the guy's soul who made all the cards. Spoiler, she didn't know that. Then the Nightmare from the Nightmare card lives in her head. He's the monster in her head. So the book is a romantic book, but really the book is about the nightmare in your head, the monster in your closet, the nightmare in your head, and like battling against yourself, accepting who you are, and the price of what you want. And I really did I liked all of those things. I thought they were super well done. I thought they were great. And so much of it is so well done, and I really did enjoy that a lot. And it did a really good job of, like, in so many ways, you know how the book's gonna end. Both of them. But it does a really good job of pacing, and also, like, it feels so inevitable and it still surprises you, which is, like, really rare, and I did really like. I think I just kind of wished that there's two different romances in the book, and there's one in the first book that then carries on to the second book, and there's one that kind of, you see glimpses of it in the first book, but then it goes to the second book. And the one in both books is, like, supposed to be our main romance, and I did like them. I thought they were great, but I thought the second romance was, like, so much better, and, like, really you see that these people are in love with each other, and, like, it's so great, and it's, like, incredibly lovely. And the other one is supposed to be, like, kind of the main romance, and I just felt like, because there was so much else going on with the two of them specifically, that I was like, I get that they do like each other, and just chill. I think they're very cute. There were moments I was, like, giggling, kicking my feet, which is so great. But, like, there weren't, I think all of a sudden I was like, oh, they're in love now. Great. Cool. And I thought the second one just, like, paced was much better, and I really liked it. But I would recommend these books. I thought they were so fun. They're a really easy read. They're not incredibly long, I don't think. Great. The first one's 423 pages. I'm broken inside. But they were really interesting, and they like really capture your interest in a really good way. And yeah, they're about so many things. Like, so much of it is about, like, forgiveness and setting things right, and which was great. Yeah, I did really, really like them. I think I just wish the romance had been a little bit, the main romance was I don't know. But I did really like them. I would recommend them. I own them. I'm glad about it. They're great. The other series I wanted to talk about that I got too into this last weekend, and by too into, I mean, all I did was read these fucking books this weekend. All I did. I was a terrible member of society in literally every other way. What are these called? The Crowns of Nyaxia, which is, like, peak romantasy. And they're all, like, the something of something and something, which is, like, another, it's like a joke that it's romantasy. So the first one is the serpent, oh my god, The Serpent and the Wings of Night, is it? Clearly never read that title out loud before. And this is the cover. Not my favorite, which is fine. It's not my book. So yeah, and then the second one is The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. Looks like this. Love it. There's 4 in this series. The third one is The Songbird and the Heart of Stone. Notice it's different colors because it's about a different couple. And then I foolishly, because there was 4, and I was like, oh, 2 books per couple, all the books are out. And then I went to buy the 4th one, and it was pre-order, and I lost my shit. So we're doing great. And so then I read, there's, like, one standalone book that's like a small novella, and it's 6 Scorched Roses, which is about a different couple in the book. I read that because I was like, I've got blue balls from not being able to read the 4th book yet. It's not out till August. I've made a terrible mistake, and I fucked up. But that's what we're here to talk about. Not me fucking up, is these books. This episode, this video is gonna be so long. It's fine. So, The Serpent and the Wings of Night. I really like these books. They're exactly what I wanted. I'll say that. Like, they're just what I was in the mood for, which is the best feeling with anything. It's like, they're just what I wanted. They're, like, so good. They're trashy. They're, like, very horny, which is not always fun, but is fun right now for me. And they're great. And they're so many tropes, and I love it. So the first book is about It's so funny. It's like so many tropes. Okay, the first book is about a girl. She's a human. She has been adopted by the vampire king. So the way that this world works, there's a king of where they are, the lands, and he's a certain type of house of something. I'm not gonna say the names right of any of this shit. I'm so sorry. He's the house of, it's like KJIER, something like that. And he's the head of everybody because he was the head of a coup 200 years ago. I almost said a few years ago, just a couple. 200 years ago, he's been the king since then. He adopted this human girl. He found her in like the wreckage of her home, and he like saw something in her and was like, took her home with him, made her his daughter in everything. Like he is her real, like he's her father. And so a lot of these are like the father's like kind of a piece of shit a lot of these the father's a full-on piece of abusive shit who's like awful, and this guy is also like kind of a piece of shit and is awful, but he does love her, and that's, yeah. So there are multiple houses of whatever, but she's entering this tournament that's, a tournament of murders. Everybody there are tasks, but then you kind of kill each other in the tasks or out of the tasks. And then at the end, the winner gets a gift from like the goddess of vampires, the goddess who like created vampires, whose name is like Nyxia, which is why it's the Crowns of Nyxia. I think I said that right, but also I don't fucking know. So she's gonna win, and she's gonna ask to pretty much become like heart bonded with her father. So then she's gonna have his strengths. So she's gonna be able to like live a more free life, because she's really been locked up for a long time because she's a human living in a world of vampires. And her dad is like, bitch, you can never let down your guard for even 1 second, because vampires are gonna fucking kill your ass. Not me, which is true. He's great at that. But he's like, I'm the only one you're ever gonna be safe with. Don't trust any vampires ever. They're gonna fucking kill you. And she's like, okay, deal, because in the past she had some bad experiences. And so she enters this contest. She makes some friends, and then she falls in love, who could have guessed, with like a guy who is from a different house. And yeah, it was just great. It was great. Super in it. I just had so much fun. It's like every trope too. It's like they're all vampires, which is very funny. And they're also like not normal vampires, which is like good, because they're just like the sexy ones, which are so funny. It's so funny how they love to make vampires sexy. And it's just very funny to me. And I'm down with it. It's so funny. Okay. So, yeah, it's like the forced proximity in the way that like they become allies in this tournament and then work together, all this other stuff. And I love I've got to win this tournament. It's going to give me everything I wanted. And then halfway through be like, but am I just happy being myself? All this stuff. Love it. 10 out of 10. Love it. 10 out of 10. So I really liked the first one. I thought, again, it was a twist. Not the end. I'm going to say not a twist, but it was like a climax that was like so incredibly clear that that's what had been happening the whole time. But I was caught off guard, but I wasn't like, oh my God, that's insane. Like I was like, oh shit, which was great. But I thought the first book ended really well. Yeah, in a way that was like incredibly inevitable, but also fun and surprising, and was like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? And then the second book I thought was too long, for one. It's way long. The first book is, let me see. Great, it's not telling me, which is super fun. Because okay, the first book, 486 pages. Book 2, which looks like this. I put the effort into going back to the title so everybody could see so I'm not doing that now because I already Can't have that be for nothing. God. The second book is 618 pages. And I think that it either should have been split into 2 books or they should have cut some shit because it's too long. It's too long and too much happens. And also, like, so little happens. Not so little. A lot happens. It's a very action-packed book. But, like, so many of these follow, like, the normal structure of, like, you know, intro, rising action, blah, 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 climax. And this one, like, had so many ups and downs that I was, like, about halfway through, I would, like, every time I feel like I'd be like, okay, I know what this book is, it would change, but in a way that I was like, what am I don't, because of that, it was hard to get the pacing right. I feel like it was like, every time I felt like I would get my feet under me, like, the whole stakes would change, or like the objectives would change, and I was like, what are we doing? I just think it should have been either 2 books or they should have cut some of this. Because, like, a huge moment happens about 3/4 of the way through the book. That, again, incredibly inevitable. And I think that either should have been the end of the book, and then book 3 should have been like, we're all fucking reeling from this big thing that happened at the end. But, like, it just keeps going for like 200 more pages, and then the book ends. Like, it there's only 2 in this story, so, like, the book ends. And I also thought the way they, like, wrapped everything up was just a little bit, not lazy, but, like, a little bit easy. And a little bit like the first one, where, like, in the first one, I felt like it was so, it really worked well and the logic was really there. And then the second one, I was like, oh, so then, you know, like how sometimes in science fiction or in magic shit, it's like, and then magic came, saved the day, and everything was fine. And it's a little bit like that. And I was like, so then everyone's cool, that's fine. And I'm very glad, spoilers, since happily, which I really wanted, because I don't want to read 1,000 pages of something and then it doesn't end well. Honestly, I want to read, especially with these books. I'm fine with other books that don't end well. I love an unhappy ending. But with books like these, I want them to end up together, and I want them to be in love, and I want them to be happy. And that's what I want. And it did that, which I was very happy about. But yeah, I just thought the ending was a little bit easy, and I wish they would have gotten to the conclusion. I wish they would have solved everything in a better way. I wish the author would have solved it in a different way. Yeah. But the first 2 books, I did really like them. I thought it was magic and it was world building, but I never was like, what the fuck is going on? The second one gets a little bit more like magic-y in a way that I was like, what are we doing here? But okay. So book 3 was not my favorite. It's one of those where, like, the third book and of the 4th that's gonna come out, and I'm gonna fucking read it, obviously. After all this, I'm like, I'm obviously reading book 3 or book 4. Is about one of the friends of the main couple in the first book, and she's now having her own story in this book. She's falling in love, and I really liked their dynamic in the 3rd book. And I think that sometimes with books like these, or like series like these, there's a tendency to make every couple the same. Like, I feel like an example of that is Sarah J. Maas's, who I love, but like her Court of Thorns and Roses, like when you get to Cassian and Nessa, one of my issues with them is that they just feel like they in so many ways turned Cassian and Nessa into Feyre and Rhys, and like that's not what I want. Like, but in a lot of ways, the way they have sex is they're into the same thing sexually. They like become Nessa is a very angry person. I was gonna say human, but she's not. She's an angry person, and then she like kind of heals through love and all that stuff, but like in so many ways she just kind of becomes Feyre in a way I didn't like. And that is not what happens here. Like, it does feel like the 2 couples are like very different. They're made up of very different people, and their relationships are different, and the way that they have sex is very different, which I really liked and I do appreciate for sure. And I liked the first couple. That's a given. They're in the past now. We're in book 3. I did like the couple. I thought they were great. But the thing I didn't like, book 3 is about 2 people going to the underworld and trying to raise the god of death. But because that's what the book is about, so much of it is like so magical. Like everything in the book is incredibly magical. Like everywhere they stay is like sometimes a figment of their imagination, or like it's so, there's nothing to ground you. And so much of it felt like the stakes were very difficult to understand, and I could never really get my bearings, and I didn't like that. And it was hard for me to get as invested and as sucked in, because I was like, what are they doing? What is happening? I know what the objective is, but I don't know I don't know what the steps to get the objective are, because the objective they're doing is like magical as well and difficult. And it was hard for me to like the first book, they're in a tournament. So even if the tournament is like, oh, they're in like a magical coliseum and there's like magic monsters and they're fighting with magic, I was like, cool, so they're in a coliseum. That's something, I know what a coliseum looks like. I've seen Gladiator. But this one, it would be like, so they're in a magic place that looks different. The first place they go is like this, it's like kind of like an body of water, but they have to stay on this path. But like people that are ghosts are like swimming, like they're coming in and out of them, but like, and then there are guardians on top that are like gonna protect whatever they're looking for, but like they gotta stay on the path. But then sometimes like the people would be like, oh, they're so small, they're like under the water. But I was like, but can they breathe? Because they're underwater, but they can, because the water doesn't like really exist. And I was like, and then they like obviously get off the path, but I'm like, then they kind of like fall. But I'm like, what do they fall into? Because like they're in water. And so it was difficult, things like that I was like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know where we are. And I don't know how to react when things happen. Like, so people would be like, oh, and then the water was like up to their chest, and then there was a girl and it was like above her head. And I was like, so clearly the water is getting more treacherous, but like also like the waters only get higher as we go. Is the girl who it's above her head, is she gonna die because she can't breathe? But I don't know, because they're in the underworld. So like, it was just things like that it was just a little bit confusing to me, and it was hard to hold on to anything. But I did like it, and like I said, I really liked the couple. I thought the couple was really good. I'm gonna read the next book because I want to know what happens. Yeah, but that was one of the issues I had with that one. But I still liked it. And then the last book is like a novella, and it's between a vampire and a human woman. And they fall in love, and they are in the other books as well, but in the other books he's turned her into a vampire, and so this book is like how they met and how that happened. And I did like it. I thought it was cute. I did think it had a little bit of a like, we talked a little bit. I stayed with him for a week. We wrote letters back and forth. Now we're in love, which is like ridiculous, but also is fine. So yeah, but I did like it. I thought it was cute. I thought it was great. And it's not just about them falling in love. It's about them, specifically her. It's about her having an objective and then falling in love, which are like my favorite kind of books, are like adventure books where people fall in love. So that was great. Yeah. So next on my list, honestly, I'm rereading the series I just read because I want to. It's my life. And then I'm reading another book that's over there that I didn't bring with me. And it's called The Foxwife. And it deals with like some myths from some Eastern countries about like foxes and humans and foxes who can turn into humans and like drain the life out of people. And I always love like a good mythical retelling, which is not what this is, but like like folklore in real life or like things like that, I just think are super interesting, and I'm always down with them. So I'm really excited. And I did really like, I read maybe about 30 pages the other day, and I did really like it, and I did really like the writing of it. So I'm excited to do that. And I have some books in the library that are like gonna be available soon, so hopefully I'll start those as well. If you hung out this long, oh my god, thank you, but also like, god damn, but thanks. And hopefully I'll get more on a regular schedule, but I'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much. Bye.